Good morning, world. Today is day 5 in the field. We didn't do a video yesterday because we moved to the next farm and we just kind of had to get familiar, and we had some land managers with us, and just for privacy purposes we leave them out of videos. But yeah, so we just kind of got oriented with the next farm, which is a lot bigger than the one we just did. I mean, double the size, so it's about 500 hectares. And for this farm, the main land use is primarily cattle, and there's a few different, there's some kudus and some impalas and some blesboks. Yeah. What's a vaterbok? Bontebok. What's a bontebok? Blesbok. Okay, there we go. But yeah, so the main use here is cattle. They have them in different camps and do some rotational grazing. So even just from the little bit we looked at yesterday, we're immediately noticing different ecological patterns. So we're seeing a little bit more diversity because of the rotational grazing, meaning that there's not always animals in every part of the farm, so it allows the grasses to be more grown up even in the winter time because there's nothing grazing it, or not a large amount grazing it. So today we're going to explore some new species. We're going to show some different patterns we've noticed. Hopefully we find some cool stuff. Okay, so we've made it to our first plot. Basically a lot of the same patterns we saw in the last one. A lot of the grevia, the raisin bushes. So we're just recording some of that. But what we want to start doing is talking about some of the species that are super common that we're seeing a lot of. So we're going to do a little piece on the curly leaf grass. Okay, so this is the curly leaf. We're trying to get, you can kind of see here, get it in focus. Yeah. So obviously it's winter time, so it doesn't have its seeds on it, but we can tell by the way that the leaves or the plumes are configured here. But then what's also super, super obvious of the curly leaf is the curls. You can see how curled it is. So this is going to be the broadleaf curly leaf. So with the curly leaf, it's an average grazing grass, and I think that's how we find so much of it. It often grows in disturbed bushveld, but it is useful in savanna ecosystems because of how dry and variable and unpredictable they can be. So it provides forage to wildlife and livestock when there isn't other better grasses, and it's relatively palatable, so the animals do like it, but it's definitely not their go-to, and it does help with erosion. That's just a characteristic of it, and it likes to grow in sandy and loamy soil, which we do see here with the kind of the red sand again. But yeah, so we find a lot of curly leaf, and like I said, I think that's because of the fact that it's not a priority for animals, because it's not their favorite, but it is still fine, and that's why it is so abundant. So next we want to talk a little bit about the weeping African lovegrass, or a little bit easier, the African lovegrass. So you can tell it looks really different from the curly leaf for starters. The way it spreads out, it looks like it's weeping. I mean, I'll show you here. Yeah, it kind of goes in that weeping looking pattern, and you can also tell because the actual bush part looks way different. There's no curls. Comes out differently than the one we just looked at. So this grass, it's not a bad grass. It's not exactly palatable for animals, but it's not like an invasive grass. That's a bad thing. It's really good for making hay out of. It's native to South Africa, so that's also a good thing. What else? So in areas with high rainfall, it is associated with overgrazed and trampled veld. This area is not known for high rainfall, but the last 3 years they've had an unusual amount of high rainfall, which could contribute to the fact that there is some of this grass. The African lovegrass is also used often to revegetate an area, so along dam walls, roadways, things like that. Okay, next grass that we want to talk about, this is the small buffalo grass. The buffalo grasses are generally pretty good. It almost looks like the plume looks similar to the curly leaf, but the biggest difference, I guess I could say, is the way that it grows. So if you look here at the root, at the stem, I guess, not the root, there's no curls. So not a curly leaf, but it's beautiful grass. Even if it hasn't bloomed, you can see the seeds, but it hasn't started flowering yet. But it's known to grow in it's very variable, so it can grow in clay soils, sandy soils, nutrient-rich soils, which could also have something to do, potentially, we don't know, but with the termite mound, because it's right next to the termite mound, right? Something interesting about this grass is that it's also found in the US of A's. So it grows in a lot of places, even in South Africa. It grows all across the country, and I believe also it's found in Australia. So, fun fact.